Hey everyone, how's it going? So what am I working on now? I'm actually not working on anything in particular. Let's see, Kirk actually changed that engine in that Chevy Equinox, the 2.4 liter, where the chain came apart. Not that it came apart, the chain stretched and it skipped timing and more than likely launched the motor, because that's what usually happens. Doesn't sound fast at all, does it? Anyway, I had a lot of people ask me questions about, well, how does the timing chain stretch? Because I blame lack of maintenance. How does timing chain stretch from lack of maintenance? They can't understand that. Well, I'm gonna explain why I say that in a second here. One other thing, I constantly get comments from people like, "What's the matter? Oh, are you going to be changing the blower motor, or are you going to be changing the starter motor or the wiper motor?" Because I refer to engines as motors. It's just habit. I know the difference. You know, it's just a force of habit. That's all. Yes, if it's electric, it's a motor. If it's an ICE motor, internal combustion engine. Yes, I said it again. If it's an ICE internal combustion engine, it's an engine. So anyway, right here we have that motor from the Equinox, and I just want to show you here. So here is the motor. I took this cover off. This is the cord that's going back. Now up here you can see the chain is very slack here, and there's actually supposed to be a guide piece inside here that's missing. You see how I can actually lift up on this? Now one thing, if you notice, on this side where it's actually rolled into the chain, into the gear, see how much that moves around on there? It's because it's worn out. How come it wears out from lack of maintenance? Easy. How many pivot points are on a chain? Depending on the length of it, what, 100, 200, 300, 400 pivot points? Each link basically has 2 points that pivot. Some chains on the inside here, some chains, that's actually a roller piece inside there. So think about all the points of wear. You have one this outside link, one this inside link, one if that is a roller, then this one, then this one. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points per pin. 5 points per pin. Let's say you got 100 thousandths of wear in one pin. Let's say you have 200, 300, 400 pins on a chain. Multiply that a couple 100 thousandths by all those links. It adds up. You wind up with a lot of wear. I mean, if you don't want to change your oil, that's fine. It doesn't affect me. You know, I mean, this is how I make a living. But to me, maintenance is simple. It's simple. I'm doing a video on an F-150 that a customer dropped off here, and he watches the channel, and that's why he came to me. I'll get into it with the truck. His truck's got 166,000 miles on it. And you can tell by looking at it that he maintains his truck and he keeps his truck well. 166,000 miles. I've seen trucks that are a year old, cars that are a year old, that are in worse shape. I mean, this truck is in almost showroom condition. It's darn nice. So obviously, well taken care of. But anyway, back to this motor here. So lack of maintenance. Let's look at this gear here real quick. You see how it almost has like a rough finish to it? You see that? It's not supposed to. It's not supposed to. See that? I can actually wipe it off and get it clean. See the difference? See the difference between that side and that side? I wiped that roughness off of it. But now, that roughness, that's dirt, debris, carbon buildup. You know? It collects on everything. See that? What do you think happens when little microscopic pieces of that stuff, of that carbon buildup, that's sludge buildup, that's like sandpaper. What do you think happens when microscopic pieces of that break free throughout the motor? Because it's all over the motor. Here it is on the time chain. Look how worn that gear is. See how shiny it is? It ain't supposed to be that worn. That's a lot. You can see by the other chain here just how worn that is too. But I mean, look at the gritty texture to everything. Look at the links, how gritty they look. Come up here. Look how gritty everything looks. Now, even before it gets into the oil filter to go through the motor, if it breaks free up top there and goes into a cam journal, goes into a lifter, whatever, goes into the chain, goes into the gear, right there. That's why that thing's so nice and polished looking. Think about it. That's why it's so nice and polished looking. Look at it. I mean, that's all wear. So, here's a piece of that upper guide that broke free. This was in the oil pan. So basically, I mean, a lot of people cry and complain, oh, oil change is, $100. It's $100. Well, guess what? This engine's $5,000. So you can do what you want. It's your vehicle. But then you're going to come see me for stuff like this. This guy was lucky. He had a service contract, insurance policy, whatever you want to call it, extended warranty, and they covered it. Because this is not terrible. This sludge buildup in here is not terrible. I've seen a lot worse. So just imagine that. This one is not terrible, and at 110,000? No, 106. I think this car is 106,000. At 106,000, it ate the timing chains. So, choice is yours. To me, oil changes, maintenance, it's cheap insurance. Really is. But, like I said, you do you. Anyway, so this motor has to go back as a core. So we got to make sure it's completely drained out. Got to take the oil filter out of it, make sure it's just completely drained out, and then it's got to go back in the crate. Anyway, that's about it. I just wanted to show you that, just run through that with you. Hopefully you got something out of that. If you did, hit that like button. If you could, please subscribe. All right, guys, have a great day. Keep wrenching.